D-Day, the collapse of the Atlantic Wall. Prelude to invasion. June 6, 1944, 0015 hours. At strong point WN-62 overlooking Omaha Beach, German machine gunner Heinrich Severloh meticulously cleaned the barrel of his MG-42. In his bunker, he could see nothing but darkness over the English Channel. In his pocket was a letter from his girlfriend in Metzingen, promising to wait for him until the war's victorious end. Just 3 days earlier, after an inspection by Field Marshal Erwin Rommel, Severloh had written back confidently, "The invasion will be their grave. We will throw them back into the sea within hours." Rommel himself, surveying the defenses through the bunker's firing slit, had nodded in approval. "When they come, this beach will be their cemetery." But within 12 hours, Severloh would be found sobbing uncontrollably in the same bunker, surrounded by 13,500 spent shell casings, his weapon barrel warped from heat. The unimaginable scale of the invasion shattered the German illusion of control. Though Severloh later claimed to have inflicted between 1,000 and 2,000 casualties, historians consider that figure impossible, given that total American losses at Omaha Beach were about 2,400 from all causes. Yet his story symbolizes the moment when the mathematics of German defeat were no longer written in reports or strategy, but in the terrified testimonies of soldiers witnessing the largest amphibious invasion in history from the wrong side of the gun sight. The Atlantic Wall stretched 2,400 miles from Norway to the Spanish border. German propaganda hailed it as the most formidable defensive line ever built. Along the Normandy coast, 58 divisions manned fortifications that consumed 17 million cubic meters of concrete and 1.2 million tons of steel. Hitler himself declared it impregnable. At Omaha Beach alone, the U.S. Army Center of Military History records the construction of 8 concrete bunkers, 35 pillboxes, 4 artillery positions, 18 anti-tank guns, 45 rocket launcher sites, 85 machine gun nests, and 6 mortar pits. The shoreline was transformed into a killing zone. Some 3,700 obstacles, Belgian gates, Czech hedgehogs, and wooden stakes tipped with teller mines lined the tidal zone. Behind them, the Germans laid 6.5 million mines, though Rommel had requested 10 times that number. Colonel Ernst Goth, commanding the 916th Grenadier Regiment near Bayeux, calculated that his batteries could deliver 120 rounds per minute into the beach sectors. Combined with neighboring units, this created the illusion of unstoppable firepower, but only if ammunition were unlimited, a fatal assumption that would soon prove false. The Miscalculation. On June 5, 1944, weather across the Channel was abysmal. Luftwaffe meteorologist Walter Schuba in Paris reported high winds, 6-foot waves, and low clouds at 500 feet. Conditions impossible for invasion. Confident the Allies would not attempt a landing, many senior officers left their posts. Rommel departed for Germany to celebrate his wife's birthday. General Friedrich Dahlmann, commanding the 7th Army, called his division commanders to war games in Rennes. Even naval patrols were canceled due to rough seas. The first alarms. At 23:15 on June 5, German radar along the Normandy coast, the Freya and Wurzburg sets, began detecting large aerial formations approaching from the north. Operators assumed these were yet another Allied deception raid. By 0030 on June 6th, reports arrived that paratroopers were landing across Normandy. Confusion reigned. Some reports identified them as British, others as American. Some appeared to come from the east, others from the west. Dummy parachutists carrying firecrackers, part of Operations Titanic and Rupert, added to the chaos. Major Hans von Luck, commanding the 125th Panzer Grenadier Regiment, quickly recognized the gravity of the situation and requested permission to counterattack. Headquarters replied, "Do not move until the situation clarifies." Von Luck later wrote, "At that moment, I knew we were lost. Every minute we waited gave them time to consolidate, yet our own command structure froze us in place." The Armada appears. At 5:30, as dawn broke, German observers began reporting an unimaginable sight. From horizon to horizon, the sea was covered with ships, not dozens or hundreds, but thousands. The Allied fleet numbered 6,939 vessels, 1,213 warships, 4,126 landing craft, 736 auxiliary ships, and 864 merchant vessels, the largest armada in human history. One German officer at WN-62, Bernhard Ferking, reportedly remarked before his death, "We are witnessing the whole world arriving on our doorstep." Historical narration in American accent. The Naval Bombardment. At 05:35, the naval bombardment began. The German defenders, even veterans of the Eastern Front, had never endured such firepower. The battleship USS Texas alone fired 255 14-inch shells in 34 minutes. The HMS Warspite, which opened fire around 0500, would launch more than 300 15-inch shells within 2 days. Concrete bunkers that were believed indestructible cracked open. Men were buried alive, dug out, and buried again. Survivors later described their fortifications collapsing like sandcastles. The Luftwaffe's response revealed the hopeless imbalance. Josef Pips Prieler, commander of Jagdgeschwader 26, received orders to attack with his entire force. His reply was bitterly ironic. "What entire force? I have 2 planes." Only Prieler and his wingman, Heinz Werdarczyk, carried out a single strafing run over Sword Beach, the only Luftwaffe attack on the beaches that morning, before retreating under overwhelming Allied air cover. Against 14,674 Allied sorties, Germany managed just 319. The landings. At 06:30, the first assault waves reached Omaha Beach. Despite the bombardment, surviving German defenders opened fire. What followed was slaughter. Heinrich Severlo at WN-62 began firing at 06:35. His MG-42, firing up to 1,200 rounds per minute, commanded a perfect field of fire across the beach. Over 9 hours, he expended 13,500 rounds. Though his exact toll remains uncertain, his position contributed to what became known as Bloody Omaha. By late morning, German units began to experience what historians later called material shock, the psychological breakdown caused by overwhelming enemy force. No matter how many attackers fell, more kept coming. Every destroyed landing craft was replaced by 3 more.